Okay, everyone, I am going to give you a demonstration on how to incorporate polling into your next Zoom meeting or event or whatever it is that you think polling will help with as far as engagement or even security. If you want to let your audience know that you're going to be recording this, is everybody okay with that? You could also incorporate something like that into a poll. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on settings. Now, this is all happening inside the Zoom website portal. That's extremely important to know, as I mentioned last time as well, that this is where you need to be when it comes to setting up things that you want in an event that you can't set up in the actual application. The application is designed for live stuff. This is designed for pre-meeting stuff. And so I really recommend going through this Zoom website portal and just reading through each of these on the side here, especially this one in settings. There's a lot of different settings here that you could put into your meetings, and one of them is polls. So polling is in this one, in meeting basic. So you could either click on any of these to scroll down faster, but I'm just going to scroll through them because I again highly recommend you scrolling through these to make sure that all these are the way that they're supposed to be for you during your events. And if you see here polling and it's turned on, then you're in good shape. You want to make sure you turn that on. So again, you go to the Zoom website portal, you go down to settings, in meeting basic, and then you'll see polling when you just scroll down there a little bit. So my polling is turned on. Now that that's on, the next thing I want to do is click on meetings, and then I'm going to schedule a meeting. So for fun, this is going to be called polling, okay? And we'll set the date and time as we like, the duration of our event. This button right here, even though this isn't a polling topic, I do highly recommend a registration because that means that people will have to register in advance. It's just a great security feature that you can incorporate, and there are even ways to, as maybe you've seen on my registration, add your logo, add a banner to give it a nice little look, and it's a great way to go. Now, continuing down, okay, we don't want participants to join anytime, or at least I don't. I'd like for them to be in the waiting room, and when I'm ready to start the meeting, I start the meeting, and then I could admit them into the meeting. But sometimes you might be in a situation where you're okay with your colleagues or so on and so forth joining in before you make it into the meeting, so that would be the time that maybe you'd like to allow the participants to join anytime. One thing I made really clear, which I always do at the beginning of my live events, is the importance of pre-muting everyone when they come into a conference or an event. You have to be in full control of this. It's extremely important because when multiple people have their microphones on and they're not speaking, then that's when you get that feedback, and it could just cause a lot of interruptions, and that's definitely not something that we want. It's best to let your attendees know that when they're ready to speak, they can unmute themselves or they can hold down the space bar while they're speaking to unmute themselves. But when they're not speaking, to make sure their microphone is turned off. Another thing that I like to click off is this box here, because you want to make sure your attendees, also as a security measure, have a sign in to Zoom. It's a free account that they can create. It's much better to know who's attending, and to also understand that if there is any sort of an issue, they'll be held accountable because it's going through their Zoom account. Breakout room pre-assign, that's just something that we'll worry about a little bit later, as I'll be teaching how to create a CSV file to pre-assign your breakout rooms. And automatically record meeting, that's something that obviously you could choose to do or not. But a great thing about polling is if you are recording a meeting, you could even use your polling to let your audience know that they are being, or the meeting is being recorded, and just get their signature off through a poll as far as them being okay with you recording the session or the event. So I'm going to click on save there, and here we have our event polling. And now it's time to show you how the polling works. So if you scroll down to the bottom, there's a couple different options down here. You have your registration option, email settings, branding, which is where you can add in your banner or your logo, and we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. And then there it is, poll. So when I click on poll, it says you have not created any poll yet, so I'd like to create one, and I'm going to click on add. And here we go. Okay, so this is going to be our polling option number 1. It's always good to name it because it's easier when you're looking through in case you need to change things up or just in general to know what your questions are going to be about. Type the question here. Are you learning about polling? Yes. No. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll find out here, and we are going to save that. We can also, before we save it, add a question if we'd like, and you can add as many questions as you'd like, but for now we're going to save this one question here, and now you can see that the first question in the poll is up and ready to go for this particular meeting. That's pretty much all you need to know as far as how to pre-assign polling into your events and your meetings. So now I'm going to launch the meeting by opening up my camera and my screen here, and I'm going to just drag that over so you guys can see me. Here I am. Yay! And we're ready to see if our polling worked. So once again, when I drag my mouse over the screen, I will see at the bottom left-hand corner my mute or my microphone option, my video option, and as I continue to move in here, bam, there it is, polling. So as a host of the event or as a co-host, I can click on my polling question. There's the question right there, and I can click on launch poll. Now all of my attendees are going to see that my poll is up and ready to roll, and they will be able to answer their questions accordingly. You're going to see up here how long the poll has been running for. You will also see that your attendees are viewing the question and what percentage of them have voted. So as long as it doesn't take too long, once that shows 100%, then you can go ahead and end the poll. And then if you choose to, you could share the results with the audience. I'll see the results right in front of me, but I could also share the results in the audience. And then I can continue with stopping the share when I choose to.